Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I haven't done one of these dedicated Bitcoin and MSTR Coinbase miner video for quite some time. I'm gonna go through that here. Give you a little bit of update. There really isn't too much to update though. Bitcoin has just been kind of stuck the entire week. It's just been range bound. You can see that here on the weekly candle. It's done nothing. It's doji, right? Last week, what did it do? It broke down underneath this angle over here. This week, what it is doing right now, well, it's using that as resistance. Bah, it's underneath resistance. Well, kind of like how it was underneath resistance over here. It didn't take too long to kind of break above and going up, right? Kind of like it was under resistance over here. It didn't take too long, maybe a couple months over here. Here, it took about a week, right? So what's going to happen next? Well, let's take a look at a few things. And first of all, if you look at the daily here, it's also showing that it's underneath a lot of resistance here too, right? The arc is still serving as some pretty decent support, but you did break underneath the angle, did break underneath the horizontal here, which is why we're spending days trying to break above and not being able to do that. The other reason also that it's not able to do that is because we simply have gotten rejected here for quite some time by the 20-day moving average, and right now we're underneath of it. So even the Ichimoku is sitting underneath the Tenkan resistance here. You're not ready yet. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do, guys? Is this going to be it? Are we not going to do very well moving forward? Or are we having some bullish divergence here on the wave trend oscillator, right? Are we gonna be okay, right? Are we having bullish divergence here, right? I think we are. So we are kind of decelerating. Doesn't mean we're not going to make it on a lower low. That's always possible. But I think we're decelerating here during this entire move, which is interesting, right? Which is very interesting. And you can also see that with RSI too on the daily. You can see some bullish divergence here. It doesn't matter what exchange you look at. This bullish divergence is pretty clear. Like even anybody like a €5 can spot that. Matter of fact, I think €5 is actually a pretty good spot of things. I shouldn't be making fun of them. But regardless, my point is that you have a bullish divergence that been building for a couple weeks now, right? Maybe we're playing out here. Who knows? Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the result of bullish divergence. I happen to think there's probably still more energy being left here from the bullish divergence to push price back up here to try and challenge some of the resistance levels up here above. And if you look at a 4-hour chart, unfortunately, initially I was thinking, hey, we got a inverted head and shoulder pattern over here. It didn't really break out. Decided to kind of basically continue to hold the 84,000 zone as a resistance there. Come back down here, form a higher low, not the end of the world, right? And it's still trying to break about this horizontal zone here. So what's going to happen now? Well, you did have a bullish crossover here. It did break down underneath Tenkan, but now it's been stuck back in the range over here. So look for it to reclaim the Tenkan back here again and maybe challenge the cloud eventually. And then we'll see how it reacts here in the cloud, right? The longer it forms a base over here, the better. The longer it forms a base over here, the better. Because the longer it forms a base over here, the more likelihood that this median over here on the 4-hour chart is going to end up flipping it from true resistance here and bad support here into good support, right? You need to have things kind of coincide to repair something like this. And that's exactly what it's doing right now. So again, same thing in the daily. You want to see it kind of also maybe go sideways here for another few days. Trying to flip the 20-day moving average, be more flat here before you're able to really try to reverse this bear trend, right? So because of that, I think Bitcoin still have maybe a few days of work to do. And because of that, I think a lot of the Bitcoin proxies probably not going to moon tomorrow. They're probably not going to moon tomorrow. I think next week might bring some live into them. And I'll tell you why I think that might be the case. But so far, yeah, Bitcoin's been beaten down and proxy's been beaten down even more, right? Is that true? Let's look at it. Well, going back to the Bitcoin weekly chart here, you remember this, burn this image in your head, right? Burn this image in your head. Big giant down plummet over the last couple of weeks. What did MSTR do? MSTR has been a systematic sell-off for about 4 months now, right? And MSTR has already shown that I think the downtrend is over because you came back down and filled this gap over here. And you got three big giant wicks down here below, stabby this area over here. When you have the stabby, that means that usually you got some kind of support here. And the support might be the 1.272 log fib. And it might also be the scan arc over here. There's some confluence over here to give you some pretty decent support, right? So another thing too to look at here is I do think the correction is getting close, because just like Bitcoin, Bitcoin touched the low Bollinger Band, almost, not quite, but it almost touched the low Bollinger Band here on the weekly. And MSTR kind of is really doing the same thing, right? And it's got a very nice try and look to it. So to me, I think MSTR might be getting ready, get set and go, and trying to break about this, flattening 20-week moving average and try to flip back into support and keep going, kind of like what it did over here, right? I think it's getting pretty ready for it to do that. Now, how high does it go after that? Nobody knows, but I'm seeing signs for potential reversal here that's happening soon. Maybe as soon as next week, maybe not, who knows. Coinbase, man, they've just destroyed Coinbase. Is this warranted, right? You have big giant downtrend after that, good earnings from December all the way down to March, right? 3 months of vicious downtrend where the price has basically dropped in half, right? Is this something that's just, not going to be able to recover? Are we done? Well, it depends. I think right now Coinbase is actually a very, very confluent support zone. And I love these kind of support zone because I still think that this whole situation, if you don't use any indicators at all, it's a higher high and a higher low. This is an ABC correction after this big giant move up here, right? This is still a higher low compared to that. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but that's what it is right now. Looking at the Ichimoku cloud, it's basically just right smack in the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud here. Right smack in the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud over here. I had to buy more coin out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it falls and maybe the bear market starts. I don't know, but this is one of those things that if I want to buy support, I buy support, right? It did break down underneath the 0.382. It did break down underneath the arc over here. I do wonder whether or not we're going to end up closing the week above all of these, right? We might end up closing the week above 0.382. We might end up closing the week above the arc, right? If all that is happening, then all this is just a back test of this very confluent zone of support over here. I can't guarantee that. There is never a guarantee when it comes to technical analysis. It's all probability based, right? It did break down underneath my kitchen here, but again, the month is still young. You have 2 more trading weeks. I think this might all just end up being a wick here. If my suspicion is correct, if I think next week, as soon as next week, crypto and miners might do well. I think Coinbase might do well too. I don't know. I mean, I do think that it's challenging a rising 20-month moving average. I think this is just going to be a wick. That's my suspicion. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. These charts are extremely difficult to chart. I'm doing something that is very, very difficult to do, apparently, right? But all it's really doing right now, if you don't even use any additional indicator, you just look at the fib level, it's just stuck between the 0.886 log and 0.618 log here. This is not bearish, right? This is not bearish. It's stuck inside a golden pocket, right? All right, let's talk about the other stocks here. I want to talk about CleanSpark. And when it comes to CleanSpark, what the king of the definition of trying to figure out what's going on with CleanSpark really is volume. I think volume is what tells you the best story in terms of what's happening. I think that this downtrend is decelerating because the unbalanced volume, there's some imbalance here. There are people buying this, right? When price dropped down, unbalanced volume actually hasn't changed. If anything, you just actually had a little bit of uptake. Somebody's buying, right? And if you're not looking at just the volume imbalance, and if you're looking at potential divergences to tell you where price is going to be, you've got a bullish divergence here that's been building for about half a year, since September 2024, where price has finally kind of gone down here and the RSI has kind of gone up, right? When was the last time I saw something like that? Price kind of going up here? and RSI kind of gone down here. What happened after that? A lost year, right? Now we have the opposite. You have price going down and you have the RSI going up. Again, a lot of wicks down here below could potentially be favorable, right? So that's kind of what I'm really seeing here with CleanSpark, is have a hard time really trying to break above the monthly Ichimoku cloud here. You got multiple rejections here. It get you really, really upset, right? Price went from $24 all the way down to $7 for about a year and a half. Is there greater pain? Yes, there actually is greater pain. I got the trade desk over here. This is greater pain. Can you imagine DCAing for like 2 years and having all your gains just wiped out by 2 months? There is greater pain on earth. It's not that bad, right? It's still a wave 1 looking thing, and it's still a wave 2 looking thing. Potentially. Assuming that if you believe that Bitcoin's bull market, the bulk of it hasn't even started yet. Assuming you believe that, then this is wave 2. Right. Mara, same thing, right? I'm going to show you RSI here. Let me see here. I'm going to show you RSI here on the weekly. You don't have bullish divergence here with RSI, but that's okay, because guess what? You have a lot of bullish divergence here with unbalanced volume. I actually think that unbalanced volume, bullish divergence matter more because they are reflective of what big money is actually doing. When I see bullish divergence on the weekly with price and unbalanced volume, I get pretty happy about it. Let me just leave it as that. Price gone down, unbalanced volume gone up. When's the last time this has happened? Over here. Price gone down, unbalanced volume gone up. What happened after that? Price went from $3 all the way up to $35, right? Made an 11x from there. We might be building up something similar here, assuming that Bitcoin market hasn't been over, assuming that global liquidity is coming, right? That's a lot of assumptions. Bitfarms. Basically backtesting horizontal zone over here. Not much else to say. It's been extremely vicious. It looks kind of like it did over here, right? That's all I have to say about Bitfarms. Iron. I don't even have to talk too much about iron. It's broken down underneath the cloud here. I'm not even going to show the cloud here. It's basically coming back down here to this arc after it got rejected by this arc over here. It's waiting for Bitcoin. Cypher, also very sad, came all the way back down here. It's not really even any kind of like particular fit level support here on the log scale or the linear scale. It's just kind of hanging out over here in space. But guess what? Higher high, relatively speaking, we don't count that wick. And so for higher low potentially, right? This is just a channel on the way up. And on balance volume, price kind of gone down, right? On balance volume going up over the last few months or so. I think they've been there's buying pressure, right? Wolf, what's Wolf doing? I'm gonna zoom back out here into the actually before I do that, I also want to show you too, like same thing, right? Since January of 2025, since the beginning of the year, price went down, unbalanced volume going up. Somebody's been buying behind the scene, right? Going back to the weekly here is basically back testing the 0.382 and the angle over here, right? Riot, what is it doing? Well, it might have a little bit more room to go down to back test the 0.236. It looks like it wants to do that. Unfortunate, right? Unfortunate. It is what it is sometimes. You can say maybe some relative hidden bullish divergence here. The bullish divergence is not. It's just I'm not seeing that here in Riot. Riot is just kind of one of those things that is just. I'm just gonna leave Riot alone. Got rejected here at the arc for the entire 2 years, right? And trying to come back here, tapping this area twice now, trying to find enough support to push through. It's stuck in a range. I don't have much else to say about it. The only thing I have to say about it is that it is way underneath the low Bollinger Band, and I don't think that's sustainable. Whenever things get that far, kind of like it did over here, usually it snaps to the other side. But we'll see. Same thing happening with HUD 8, right? But HUD 8's been forming higher highs and higher lows. I don't even have to do anything about this chart. It's forming higher highs and higher lows. Like, what else do you need to know? This is a channel on the way up, right? It's just at the bottom of the channel, right? Cores has been one of those that I just don't really. I don't know. It ran too hard, too fast, all the way from $2 to $20 in 2024. Is cooling off. I don't have much else to say about it. I do have a GAN, and I don't really have, this doesn't really give me that much great market symmetry because it's just not a stock that's been around for that long anyway. And it might be trying to reclaim the 1.618. That's what I have to say. But it's hard for me to because it's still a falling knife. It's hard for me to make any further assessment because it's still a falling knife, right? Finally, Bitdeer. I'm still pretty bullish on Bitdeer because it does look like it's just pushing through up to here and it come back down and back test the golden pocket. Right now we're underneath the golden pocket here below 0.618, but it's still a higher low over here. This is still a higher low, right? If you're looking at the monthly here, I still see support here at the flattening 20-month moving average, right? This is still a relatively bullish chart. I think Bitdeer is going to probably do pretty well moving forward. Anyway, I haven't talked about these stocks for a while. I figured I'll just give you an update. Have a good one, guys. Bye.